Hello everyone, I'm Brior and welcome back to Good Game Empire. Here's everything that's new in the game for the month of January 2019. This month marked the first iteration of a new event called the Kingdoms League, which will put you into competition with 8 other players who are about your size. Here's how you participate. By attacking foreign invaders, Bloodcrow invaders, samurai camps, and nomad camps just like you normally do, you'll be collecting glory points, samurai tokens, and con tablets. The amount of currency you collect will determine your ranking relative to other players. The player who collects the most glory points during the Bloodcrow invasion, for example, will get a gold medal, the second most will get a silver medal, the third most will get a bronze medal, and there are even cruddier medals available for players lower on the rankings. You can see that I have been ignoring this in favor of participating in the server war, but I can still explain it to you. You can collect one medal every day, and the medals you collect will help improve your kingdom title. Your kingdom title determines what rewards you'll get. There are 2 kinds of rewards. Some rewards you'll get during the event as soon as you rank up to a new kingdom title, whereas other rewards will be given out at the end of the event based on whatever kingdom title you have at that time. The best rewards are in the latter group. You can see that this event offers rewards like gems, fast travel feathers, accelerators, materials for the fusion forge, and construction and upgrade tokens, both of which are used for the relic greenhouse and might be used for other buildings in the future. We'll have to see. If you do really well in the event, you might also be able to get some base food production build items. So the rewards for this event are pretty good, but half of them are only accessible if you purchase a season pass. Let's talk about the season pass. Now, the Season Pass is of course something that you can buy for rubies. The price of the Season Pass depends on when you buy it. If you buy it later in the event, you'll get less out of it, and therefore it will be less expensive. I'm filming this video on day 2 of the event, when the cost of the pass is 251,000 rubies. That means it was originally even more expensive, perhaps close to 300,000, which is absurd. Absolutely absurd. However, here's the catch. The Season Pass right now is 100% off in the game, meaning that you can get it for free. The developers said that they would do this for the first iteration of the event. And when I was looking at the rewards that the Season Pass unlocks, I thought to myself, wow, Good Game Studios has really been rather generous. And that's when I looked at the forums. You see, the normal runtime for this event is scheduled to be 6 weeks, and you'll need a full 6 weeks to collect enough medals to rank up to the best kingdom titles. In other words, getting the best rewards will take 6 weeks of your time. That's a long time, but this iteration of the event is only being run for 2 weeks, so there's absolutely no way, it is simply not possible to get to the best rewards. In other words, the rewards that you'll want to unlock with a seasonal pass are simply off limits, and yeah. It's safe to say that Good Game Studios has not given out a 300,000 rupee value for free. However, your seasonal pass this time will get you a few extra rewards, so it's not something to pass up on. Just hit the button. What do I think of this event? Well, I like the idea of players being put into competition with 8 of their peers. It reminds me of, I think it was Forge of Empires. It makes existing events more competitive and potentially more fun. However, the obvious criticism of the Kingdoms League is that it doesn't actually introduce a new game mechanic. You will compete in the event by acting as you have always done, attacking the same camps as you've been attacking for the past 3 or 4 years. The Kingdoms League is quite simply encouragement to hit your existing event targets harder. Here's a funny thought for you. When you attack a Bloodcrow castle, you could now be participating in up to 5 different events at the same time. Now, obviously you'll be participating in the Bloodcrow invasion. I think that one goes without saying. And, as we just talked about, you might very well be participating in the Kingdoms League. Can you name the other 3? Well, of course, there are the seasonal events. You can get seasonal points by attacking your Bloodcrow targets, and if you're collecting seasonal points, you could also be simultaneously participating in the Alliance Tournament, which is now based off of your Alliance's seasonal points. It used to be that the Alliance Tournament was glory-based, in which case you would still be participating, but because players were able to exploit that, now it's based on seasonal points. And what's the last event? Well, let's throw in a nobility contest that is based on glory. So there you go. 5 separate events based on one mechanic in the game. Alright, I think that's enough about the Kingdoms League, so let's move on and talk about the improvements Good Game Studios has made to the autofill feature, which is part of the attack setup window. They've made it so that players can now tell the system that they only want to use wooden tools, for example, instead of full-on ruby tools, which is always what the system would use by default, unless you didn't actually have ruby tools in the castle that you were attacking from. This is an improvement. You can also configure the system so that it will only put troops on a flank, both flanks, a flank and the center, or just the center, and once again, this is good stuff. This new system will help players save an incremental amount of coins over the previous system, which could add up if they were doing a lot of NPC attacks. Here's an example of how that works. So as you can see, we have come over to the Desert Sands, and we're attacking a maximum level NPC tower. Now, how many ladders you'll need depends on your commander. So if I'm using a Desert Sorceress commander, I will need 4 ladders on the left flank and 6 on the right flank. There we go. Previously, I had a preset that would apply ladders and troops to every wave, which meant that the ladders I was sending in the second wave, the third wave, and the fourth wave were unnecessary, and sending extra ladders will cost you extra coins. Manually adjusting the ladders in the second, third, and fourth waves, or using 2 different presets, was simply too slow and would cost you coins by costing you time. But with the new system, you can simply have a preset with the tools and then click on the autofill button if you've configured it properly, so it will add coin ranged attackers to both sides. However, here's a small problem. This will only work if you only have ranged attackers in your castle. If you have coin attackers that are melee, they will be slightly more powerful, and the system will choose the more powerful troops and put melee attackers along the flanks, and that's no good. I have some melee attackers in my Outer Kingdoms castles for the purpose of leveling up some towers that are a little bit farther away, but if you've already completed that and only have ranged troops, then this system will in fact work for you. The autofill system, even with its new improvements, is still completely useless for PvP and for foreign invaders, so you're out of luck there. Still, these improvements to the autofill system were requested by players for quite a long time, so I have to give Good Game Studios credit for finally implementing them. Next up on our list of updates is the Garments of the Shadow Sorcerer Castellan set that will be available from the Shapeshifter Invasion. This has not been re-added to the game yet, but it has been announced on the forums. First, a little bit of history on this Castellan set. Back last fall, the developers tried to add it to the game, and it was actually in the game for a few hours. But players, including myself, complained loudly that this set was too powerful, and the developers eventually took it out. This time, the developers are reintroducing the set with a catch. It will be back in 3 different versions. The weakest version will be available from the charm shop for charms, the mid-tier version will be available for insignias, and the most powerful version will, of course, wait for it, be available for rubies. The most powerful version, the ruby one, is almost as powerful as the version that the developers tried to add back last fall. I'd like to thank Zenzer on the forums for compiling the stats for all 3 versions of the set. I will put them up on the screen right now. And here is the ruby version of the set, which, as you can see, comes equipped with 100% extra courtyard combat strength, 50% extra troops on the wall, and some other excellent bonuses as well. This is, of course, the new Super Castellan, and we were all waiting for something like this to be introduced in the game. It's safe to say that your days of beating even unintelligent ruby whales on the attack are over. Now, I'm not actually too upset about this new Castellan set. It does give ruby players even more of an advantage, but, as I said earlier, I think a lot of players, including myself, were expecting a new Super Commander or Castellan to be added to the game soon, especially with the existing sets consistently being offered at an 85% discount. Now, I'm hopeful that when the developers add the Fusion Forge to the game, we will be able to upgrade the charm and the insignia versions of this Castellan set to something approximating the ruby version as well, but it's hard to tell when that feature will finally be added, if ever. The ruby version of this set will cost you 852,000 rubies, which is on par with previous Super Castellans, whereas the charms version will cost 87,000 charms, and the insignias version will cost 37,000 insignias. This means that the set will be far more difficult to earn than the Apprentice Commander, and far more difficult to earn than the Master Summoner as well. It's going to take many players, myself included, a great deal of time. However, I'll be aiming for the insignias version of the set, because I'm still purchasing base food production build items with my charms. Now, I've saved some smaller updates for the end of this video. Good Game Studios made some changes to the Dethrone feature, which is how you replace really bad Bloodcrow invaders or foreign invaders. It used to be the case that you could spend any one of 4 different currencies. That would be coins, samurai tokens, Khan tablets, and Khan medals. All 4 currencies are still in use, but you will now only be able to choose between 2 of them on any given iteration of the event. So during the last foreign invasion, you were able to pick from samurai tokens and Khan tablets, and during this Bloodcrow invasion, you've been able to pick between Khan medals and coins. It's unclear as to whether the same currencies will always be in combination with one another, or if they'll mix it up with future events, but this is a disappointing change. I personally can only justify spending Khan medals to dethrone enemy foreign invaders. Good Game Studios has also made a small change to the equipment window. You can now sort through your equipment. However, gems of the same type and level are still unstacked, so I don't really care about this one. Another small change is that players who purchase a $19.99 a month subscription package will now be given extra food storage in their main castle in the amount of 50,000. Players will still get both of the old convenience features, automatic spy reports and automatic selling of equipment. I didn't really have a problem with either of those because they don't really give a gameplay advantage. Again, just a convenience advantage, maybe a small speed advantage, but that's at most. However, the extra food storage kind of sucks because that's a huge gameplay advantage, and it's only accessible to players who are willing to spend $20 a month or $240 every year on this game. I find it hard to imagine that any player would purchase the second subscription package without purchasing the first one, so in reality that's $360 a year on this game just for subscriptions, and then add to that any purchases made for event boosters, troops, tools, etc., etc. So this feature is of course designed to benefit Ruby whales, and it will do just that. There's one more change to discuss in this video, and that is that the foreign invaders and Bloodcrow invaders have been neutered and will no longer send attacks at your castle. This is probably a good change. The attacks that those targets were able to send were nothing more than annoyances, especially when they came in at 4 a.m., because even if you did receive a text, you would not want to wake up at that time just to defend against an incoming foreign attack. However, I do miss the days when those targets would send out multiple strong attacks at your castle. They could send like dozens of attacks per event, and that really made you feel like it was an actual invasion. The event was only like that for a few months at most, maybe a few weeks, and those days are long since gone, so I'm just being nostalgic. That's all I had for January 2019, so I'd like to thank you for watching today's video. I was thinking about how epic it would be if YouTube had this feature where my viewers could get alerts about my future uploads. Unfortunately, no such feature exists, so you'll just have to check back manually next time.